Welcome to Short Scale Modelling. This is part 2 of the Star Wars AT-ST Scout Walker build. In the last part I made a start on the legs and the body that separates the head to the legs, and I made a start on the diorama. On this part I'll be dealing with the second leg and painting a little bit of detail on it. Well, on both legs. So also hopefully moving on to the body. So I've already made the second leg, which is here. So that's both legs. Now on the first video I forgot to mention the foot plate. You see here, basically I forgot to put that in. If you've watched the first video, you'll hear me saying I struggled to get that level, and I did, and it was a real struggle. And I still hadn't got it quite right, but once I put the foot plate in, I was able to get more purchase on it and to get it level. So it's as level as I can get it. There's a tiny little bit of lift there still. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm just going to sand that down. This one worked out a little bit better. So I'm just going to sand that down to make it level. So I'm going to take a file and just gently sand it down to the edge of this dome here. And there we go, it doesn't take much. And at least that way it will be level. Yeah, that's sitting better already. Now, I did think I wouldn't use the base here. You remember I didn't fully prime it. So these chaps fit in there, like that. So I thought I would use the base in the end, just because it's going to make the whole thing very sturdy. So what I'll do is I will insert that into the diorama and camouflage it all up with grasses and moss and whatnot. So that's the plan. So let's get into the main build. Next part is to connect the connector from the body to the head, and it's just two simple parts bonded together. Quite easily done. You may need to put a clamp on it just to get rid of any gaps. So I did, just to be on the safe side. Connected it to the main body, and I decided not to use any glue here because I think it should be free moving, but it was a really tight fit anyway. I'm using Tamiya's XF20 medium grey to highlight the legs, and I'm just putting this on certain parts of the legs, like the suspension spring, some nut heads and depressions and things like that. For more highlighting, I'm using XF25 light sea grey, predominantly on the foot of the walker. There's a little bulbous bit right where the ankle meets the foot that I decided to paint this colour. There's a few rivets on the legs and that, so I'm using Tamiya's Weather Master C and the gunmetal element here just to highlight those rivets and things. So I'm just using the burr sharpener and gently going over the rivets and little bumps on the legs. You don't want to put too much on though, just be careful. You only want a highlight, you don't want a deep gunmetal colour on it. You know, you can even just use soot or something like that colour just to highlight them. It gives them a used look really. I'm using the same Weather Master C, but I'm using the silver element here, and I'm applying this gently over the leg. Just it gives it a metallic look, but again, like with the gunmetal, you don't want to go too heavy on it. You just want to gently brush it over, and just to give the area a glint really. But you don't want to do it all over either. You don't want it to be like all shiny and that. You think of it as a used metal surface with some parts, the metal shining more than others. Once that was done, it's time to attach the legs to the body. Now there's two little recesses the pins go into. Now you can just push these in or glue them. I decided to glue them because it is going to be more of a static model. I don't want the walker to walk. This was a little bit tricky though. You may have to hold it quite a while until it's stable. Now I did try to do both legs at the same time, but it didn't quite work out. One leg kept on popping off, and so if you're going to do it this way, make sure one leg is fully in position and secure before you move on to the next leg, or you can just get into no end of trouble like you see me doing here. I put one in, one pops off, put another one in, one pops off, and all that happens. But then I found a little trick to sort that out. So what I did in the end was I took the base and I fitted the feet to the base, as you can see here, then glued them in. Then I used a couple of paint pots just to level up the base unit, and it held steady like that, and that done the job a treat. So I think that's probably the best way to do it. So I'm going to paint the figures, and this is solid, it's welded itself. So I've got this little tool here, I think it was for Tropitor or Tammy, I can't quite remember, and it helps you open up welded pot lids. So what you do is you place your paint in this little grip holder, then you just take your spanner thing, put it in and twist, and then the lid comes off easily. Just pop it back out, it's ready to go. Onto the figures, and first of all I'm painting the face in Tamiya's XF15 flat flesh. Now I'm not putting much detail into these, I'm just roughly painting them. For the visor I'm using Tamiya's X19 Smoke, and this gives a nice sort of see-through colour on the visor. For the helmet it's XF11 Japanese green. Originally I thought the helmet was black, but after looking at some photographs I discovered it sort of got a green tint to it, so a dark green would do, you know, but definitely do it green and not black. And then it was on to XF56 metallic grey, and this is for the harnesses that the pilot and co-pilot wear. For the actual uniform itself, I'm using X32 titanium silver. Now you may think that's a strange choice, but after looking at some photographs, I thought the uniform was white, but until I looked at the photographs I realised it was a sort of like metallic-y grey, sort of sparkly grey. And I was hunting around for a colour for that, and I thought, you know what, titanium silver is not an exact match, but it will do. Again, they're roughly painted, and you're really not going to see that much detail. I mean, if you wish to get an exact colour, you can match it up, but I thought the titanium silver works out quite well. As you can see on the photograph, I think the colour will stand out fairly well, but it was a difficult colour to match up. I'm using XF27 black green, and this is used for the boots and gloves. It was the only colour I had at hand really. That's they should have been black, but it works out okay. So that's the figure done. As I say, roughly painted, but I think they are quite effective. So onto the cockpit now, and firstly I'm using Revel 90 silver to paint the little rods and levers that come up in the cockpit. Then I shall be moving on to 302 silk black. Now these are little dots going down the instrument panel. There's a few of them to do here. Then I'm moving on to 86 olive brown, and I'm just doing this as a colour filler really, and just placing it where I think a bit of extra colour is needed. So you can be free as you like on this. It depends how you want to do it really. Then I moved on to Rebel Aquacolor 31 Fiery Red. Now I'm using a cocktail stick here because I'm painting a little red dot inside the black dots on the panel lines that I did. Some of the photos I looked at had these black circular switches with a little red glowing light in the middle. So this is what I'm trying to achieve here. All you do is get your cocktail stick, make sure it's quite sharp, and dip it in your paint, and then make sure you've got quite a bit of paint on there, but not too much. You don't want it to be a glob of paint. And once you're satisfied with it, just dip it into the centre of the black dot. So then I moved on to the Rebel Aquacolor 12 Yellow, and again, like the 826 Brown, this is just highlighting switches, different panels that glow different colours, and so on. Again, it doesn't matter where you put them, it's entirely up to you. You don't even have to do these colours if you don't want. So I moved on to 61 Emerald Green, and the same process. I'm using the cocktail stick because some of these areas are really small, and I find that the cocktail stick does work better with this. Just placing them in again randomly. The instrument panels inside appear to all to be grey, but I thought there's got to be some sort of colours and lights going on when the thing's getting operated that you don't see. So that's what I did. I used my imagination, and then I went on to 51 Ultramarine Blue to finish off. So I had all these colours, and they're just emulating switches, dials, and lights blinking and glowing. You know, there's no rhyme or reason to the order I put them in. I just done what I felt was okay. So now all the cockpit is painted. That's including the side walls, and now it's time to put it on. Now again, like the rest of this kit's been very tight fit. You really do, I can't emphasise this enough, you really do have to push them down hard. The pilot slipped in without any drama. They just popped in, and the actual area, inner cockpit fitted in great as well. I did have major difficulty putting the outer walls on because of the tight fit, and they do fit perfectly, but it's just a matter of getting them together, getting that all to close up. Once you figure out the location points and how things go, what I did was I put a little bit of cement on, and then on the side walls, and then put the piece in. Now, as you can see, that's as far as I got before having to put lots of pressure on. So then I had to use some F-clamps to close it all up, and it was really difficult to do, but as you can see, they're just popping open. The fit is just too good really. I never thought I would say that about a kit, but the fit is just too good. There's no tolerances whatsoever. So I was under a heavy clamp, and I had to leave this overnight for it to set, but it was worth doing. Right, so it's time to take the plaster out the kit mould. I've already taken one out, as you can see here, and I done another 2 sets because, well, I'm going to need them. But this time around, I tried an experiment. Didn't quite work. I put some paint in thinking it would change the colour, but it didn't. All it done was create some sort of paint worms, but that's alright. I'll add texture to it. I've got a suspicion I should have just changed the colour of the water with using oils or dye. What I did was I just squirted some paint into the actual plastic mix once it was wet, but you know. So anyway, take my film, stick it in, and then just prise the mould, and then come out. So I don't even know what this is going to look like. Let's get rid of the mold. Yeah, it's okay. As you can see, identical. There's no none of this paint stuff. That's all inside. So this will go on either side with like that, and I'll build it up with trees and things. It's going to be quite high. So I'll say you might not want to do that high, but I'll figure it out as I go along, I think. So here's the ones without the film in. Well, this will probably be a bit messy. So again, I'm just prising the mould away first before I pop them out. And then just popping them out. So that's quite good. So again, couple of breakages, but that's because these parts are so shallow. But if you do find a break, if you're doing rocks and landscape and everything like that, that's perfectly okay. Because you'll end up breaking some of them anyway, just to fit whatever you're building. Right. So that's that. So now I'll clean this up a bit and then get on to the next stage. But I think I'll bring this stage to a close now, part 2. Not a lot done on this stage, mostly the cockpit, and everything. I put a lot of detail in it, so you're probably not going to see it, but you know, I know it's in there, and you know, that's the way it goes sometimes. So if you get a chance, why don't you watch the part 1, an introduction of this build. Check out my other videos, hit a like, subscribe to the channel if you like. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.